this video, we are going to solve quadratic. So we have three quadratic here. First is the quadratic equation, second quadratic inequality, and the third one is quadratic function. So let's try to solve an example of quadratic equation. Solve the quadratic equation. So we have the equation x squared minus 2x minus 8 is equal to 0. So how are we going to solve the quadratic equation? So we have four ways or methods to solve the quadratic equation. The first one is the factoring. Second is extracting the square root. Third, completing the square, and fourth, quadratic formula. If we still remember that quadratic formula can be used in any kinds of or in any equation that we have, while the three, which is factoring, extracting roots, and completing the square, is used depends on the equation if it is applicable. So here in our equation, x squared minus 2x minus 8 is equal to 0. Of course, quadratic formula can be used. But aside sa quadratic formula, factoring also can be used in this equation. So let's try to factor this x squared minus 2x minus 8. So first is to get the factor of the constant term, which is negative 8. So the factor of negative 8 is negative 4 and positive 2. And of course, meron din tayong positive 4, multiply natin sa negative 2. To know which of the factors are correct, we need to check it by adding the factors, and the sum must be equal to the coefficient of our linear term, which is negative 2. So first one, let's try this positive 4 and negative 2. So positive 4 plus negative 2 is equal siya sa positive 2. So therefore, it is not equal to the coefficient of linear, which is negative 2. Dahil ito ay positive, the linear or the coefficient is negative 2. So let's eliminate the factor of positive 2 and positive 4 and negative 2. Now, let's try this one. Negative 4 plus positive 2, it is equal to negative 2. Since negative 2 is equal to the coefficient of linear term, then negative 4 and positive 2 is the factor of negative 8, or the factor of this equation. So let's try to form it into a factored form. So the first one is negative 4, so minus 4, and then the other one is positive 2, therefore it is plus 2. And then, to get the first term in the binomial that we have in each factor, let's factor the first term or the quadratic term, which is x squared. So the factor of x squared is x times x. So it is equal to x squared. So therefore, yung factor niya ay ilalagay lang natin sa each factor. Now, we have the factor of x squared minus 2x minus 8, which is x minus 4 times the quantity of x plus 2 is equal to 0. Now, to solve the value of x or to find the roots of this equation or factors that we have, let's equate each factor to 0. So this is the first factor, therefore it becomes x minus 4 equal to 0. And then the second factor is x plus 2 is equal to 0. Now, to solve the value of x, let's transpose negative 4 and positive 2. So x is equal to positive 4 dahil negative 4 transposed to the other side, it changed the sign. And the next, x is equal to negative 2, so positive 2, change the sign, it becomes negative 2. Now we have the value of x, which is positive 4 and negative 2. Now to check if this value of x, 4 and negative 2 is correct. How are we going to know if this is correct? We will substitute this value of x sa ating equation, original equation natin. So let's try if x is equal to positive 4, then x squared minus 2x minus 8 is equal to 0. Substitute the value of x. So 4 squared minus 2 times positive 4 minus 8 is equal to 0. 4 squared is positive 16. Then negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Then minus 8, copy natin ito, then equal siya sa 0. So 16 minus 8 is 8. Then subtract natin sa 8 is equal to 0. Then 8 minus 8 is 0. Then naging equal siya. So therefore, the value of x, which is 4, is correct. Next to try is the if x is equal to negative 2. So let's substitute it to x squared minus 2x minus 8 is equal to 0. So negative 2 squared minus 2 times negative 2 minus 8 is equal to 0. Next is to simplify. Negative 2 squared is 4. Then negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Then minus 8 is equal to 0. The next is 4 plus 4 is 8. Minus 8 is equal to 0. And then 0 is equal to 0. So, nag-equal siya. Therefore, the value of x, which is negative 2, is correct. Okay? So, now, we have solved the quadratic equation that we can also use in solving quadratic inequality. So, let's proceed in solving the quadratic inequality. So, this is the equation of quadratic inequality. We have x squared minus 25 is less than or equal to 0. So, to solve this inequality, let's try to find the roots first of this equation. But, before to find the roots, let's change the sign into equal. So, therefore, x squared minus 25 is equal to 0. Now, we will use the methods or 4 ways na applicable sa ating equation. So, if we are going to observe, quadratic formula can be used also, and extracting the square root because the 25 is perfect square. So, let's try to solve extracting the square root. So, x squared is equal to 25 or positive 25. So, we transposed the negative 25 to the other side so that we can perform extracting the square root. Now, we have transposed negative 25 and it becomes positive 25. Now, let's get the square root of both sides and then simplify. Square root of x squared, we can cancel the squared and the radical. The remaining is x. And then the square root of 25 is positive and negative 5. So now we have the roots of x is equal to positive 5 and x is equal to negative 5. Now we are going to plot the value of x to our number line. So after getting the value of x, we are going to plot positive 5. So, yung positive 5 natin ay nasa right side of our number line. So, this is positive 5 and then the negative 5. So, our hollow dot is shaded because of the sign that we have in our original equation, which is less than or equal. Pag meron tayong equal sa sign natin, pag meron tayong equal sa sign natin, then the hollow dot is equal. So now we have the negative 5 and positive 5. We have here the first region, second region, and third region. So this is first, second, and the third region. So, after natin i-divide yung number line natin into 3 region, we are going to find the solution set. kung nasaan yung mga solution set natin or the values of 5. Aside, the values of our x aside sa 5 and negative 5. So, first, let's try to test or check the test point sa first region natin. Let's try the negative 10. So, if x is equal to negative 10, then we will substitute it to the original equation. X squared minus 25 less than or equal to 0. Then, substitute the value of x, which is negative 10. Negative 10 squared minus 25 is less than or equal to 0. Then, negative 10 squared becomes positive 100. Then, minus 25 is less than or equal to 0. Then, when we subtract it, the answer is positive 75 less than or equal to 0. So, this statement is false. Therefore, this first region is not consisting of our solution set. So, wala sa first region ang solution set natin. Next is to try if our solution set ay nasa second. O let's try first sa third region. So, let's get the test point sa third region. So, let's try positive 6. If x is equal to positive 6, so nasa third region po tayo ha. Then, x squared minus 25 less than or equal to 0. So, x squared, so yung x natin is 6. So, 6 squared minus 25 is less than or equal to 0. 6 squared is 36 minus 25 less than or equal to 0. So, ang 36 natin, minus natin sa 25 is positive 11. Then, less than or equal to 0. So, this statement is false. Ibig sabihin, sa third region natin is not consisting our solution set. So, try natin sa second region. So, if x is equal to, so let's try 0, then x squared minus 25 is less than or equal to 0. So, 0 squared minus 25 less than or equal to 0. So, we can cancel this 0 squared. The remaining is negative 25 less than or equal siya sa 0. So, this one is true. So, therefore, nandito yung ating solution set. So, paano tayo makakagawa ng interval notation? So, first is to identify that x must be greater than dapat or equal siya sa negative 5. Dapat mas mataas yung x natin sa negative 5 or equal siya sa negative 5. And then, kapag ganito lang yung statement natin, included ang 6, 7, 8, 9. But then, we have checked that 6 or the third region is not included in the solution set. We will have another statement that x is less than or equal siya sa positive 5. Dapat yung x mas mababa or equal naman siya sa positive 5 natin. So now, by this statement, we can now have the solution or interval notation. So first is to have a bracket, then middle ay x, then on the left side is negative 5 or the lower value, and then the right side is the higher value of x, which is 5. Then to know what is the symbol or inequality sign in the between of these is to look doon sa statement natin kung saan siya nag-true. Okay? So now, let's have the negative 5 is what to x. So dapat daw yung x natin mas mataas or equal siya sa negative 5. Therefore, x, pag ganito ang ating tinignan, yung x natin dapat mas mataas, which is nakabukas dapat sa x, or equal siya sa negative 5. So, kung saan nakaturo yung ating inequality, yun dapat yung mababa. So, kung makikita natin, etong inequality natin nakatutok sa negative 5, therefore, sa interval notation natin, nakatutok din dapat sa negative 5 yung inequality sign natin. Okay? So, now, next, let's have here this one. So, x must be less than or equal dapat sa positive 5. So, the interval notation that we have is negative 5 less than or equal sa x, and x is less than or equal siya sa positive 5. So, kung makita natin, nakatutok ang ating inequality symbol sa x, which is katulad lang din siya dito. So, kung paano po pagbaliktad yung sagot? For example, nauna si positive. Positive 5 is what is belong to x and belong to negative 5. So, sa positive 5, dapat nakatutok sa x yung inequality symbol natin. So, ibig sabihin, the symbol becomes like this. So, 5 must be greater than or equal sa x, and then x must be greater than or equal dapat sa negative 5. So, if we are going to observe, nakatutok ang ating inequality sa x kesa doon sa ating positive 5. And same with the other one. So, this is how are we going to solve or to get the interval notation of our quadratic inequality. So, our final answer will end in interval notation. So, now we have solved the quadratic equation and inequality. Let's have the quadratic function. So, in quadratic function, we need so many things to consider before finding the final answer. So, here we have 3 things to do, which is to get the vertex. So, to get the vertex is we need to consider the values of a, b, and c, which is the real numbers. Bakit po natin kailangan? Because vertex consists of, or to find the vertex, we have h and k. How are we going to find the value of h and k? So, we have the formula. H is equal to negative b over 2a, and yung k natin is 4ac minus b squared over 4a. So, this is the formula of h and k. So, if you are going to observe the formula, it consists of real numbers. Therefore, we need to find the values of real numbers. Now, let's find real numbers. Real number A is positive 1. So, makikita natin yung real number A natin sa quadratic term, which is 1. Yung B natin is 0 because we don't have a linear term, which we can find the real number B. And C is negative 1. So, now we have the real numbers A, B, and C. By having these, we can easily identify the graph of our parabola. So, the graph of our parabola, based on the real number A, which is positive, it opens upward. So, kapag positive ang A or greater than 0, then it opens upward. Pag negative naman, it opens downward. So, now, let's have the vertex. So, yung vertex natin is consisting of H and K. So, let's substitute the real numbers to the formula. So, let's start with negative and then substitute the value of B, which is 0, over 2, multiply natin sa A, which is 1. And then next is to simplify. 0 over 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, the H is 0. Next naman natin is K. So, let's substitute. 4 multiply sa A, which is 1, and C is negative 1 minus 0 squared over 4 multiply natin sa 1, which is yung A natin. So, next is simplify. 4 times 1 is positive 4. Multiply natin sa negative 1, it is negative 4. Then this one is 0 squared, so we can cancel this one. Next is 4 multiplied by 1 is equal to positive 4. And then simplify negative 4 over 4, it is equal to negative 1. So therefore, our K is negative 1. And the vertex is 0 and negative 1. Now we have the graph, the vertex. Now let's find the solution or number of solution. So to find the number of solution, we have the discriminant, which is the formula is b squared minus 4ac. So we will substitute the real numbers. So this is discriminant. So b is 0 squared minus 4 multiplied sa 1, which is a, and c is negative 1. And then cancel this one. So negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. And negative 4 times negative 1, it is equal to positive 4. Since our discriminant is positive, then our solution is 2 real solution. So, ibig sabihin, the parabola must cross the x-axis 2 times. So now we have the graph, vertex, and number of solution. Let's complete the table of values by finding the y. So yung y natin. So that we can plot the ordered pair to our graphing and to form a parabola. So to find or to complete the table of values that we have, we are going to substitute each value of x to the formula that we have. So let's try. If x is equal to negative 2, then x squared minus 1 is equal to, so this is y. So x squared is negative 2 squared minus 1. And the negative 2 squared is positive 4 minus 1. Then it is equal to positive 3. So if x is negative 2, our y is positive 3. Next naman natin is if x is equal to negative 1, then substitute natin y is equal to x squared minus 1, then negative 1 squared minus 1. So negative 1 squared is positive 1 minus 1, then it is equal to 0. So if x is negative 1, y is 0. Let's proceed with if x is equal to 0, then y is equal to x squared minus 1. Then yung x natin is 0 squared minus 1. Cancel the 0 squared. Then our answer is negative 1. So negative 1. Next is if x is equal to positive 1, then y is equal to x squared minus 1. So yung x natin is 1. So therefore 1 squared minus 1. So 1 squared is 1 minus 1. It is equal to 0. So if x is positive 1, y is 0. Let's proceed. If x is equal to positive 2, then y is equal to x squared minus 1. So x is positive 2 squared minus 1. 2 squared is positive 4 minus 1. Then it is equal to 3. So if x is positive 2, y is positive 3. Now we have completed the table of values. Let's proceed in graphing. So pwede na natin siyang i-graph. So let's write muna yung ating mga given na nakuha natin kanina. So we have the vertex or we have the graph, which is yung ating upward. We have the vertex, which is 0 and negative 1. we have the number of solution, which is 2 real solution. And then, we have the table of values na x and y, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2, na ang y natin ay positive 3, 0, negative 1, 0, and positive 3. So, this is the table of values na na-complete natin kanina. Now, we are going to plot the ordered pair that we have. First is negative 2 and positive 3. So, negative 2 is x. So, nandito yung ating negative 2. So, this is negative 2. And then, yung y natin na positive 3 is eto po. So, nag-intersect po siya dito. So, this is the first ordered pair. Second ordered pair natin is negative 1 and 0. So, negative 1 and 0. So, let's try to find negative 1 yung x natin. So, this is negative 1. And then, yung 0 natin is nandito lang. So, therefore, the y-axis is dito. So, ibig sabihin dito, nag-intersect yung ating line sa ating x-axis. Next naman natin is 0 and negative 1. So, yung ating third ordered pair is 0 and negative 1. So, let's plot it. So, yung 0 natin na x, so, nandito lang siya. And then, yung ating y na negative 1 is here. So, ibig sabihin, dito nag-intersect yung ating third ordered pair sa ating negative y-axis. Next naman natin is the fourth ordered pair, which is positive 1 and 0. So, let's have the positive 1. So, this is positive 1. And then, this is 0. So, ibig sabihin, dito nag-intersect ang fourth ordered pair natin. Next is the last ordered pair that we have is positive 2 and positive 3. So, let's try to plot positive 2. So, this is our positive 2 and then our positive 3. So, dito nag-intersect yung ating positive 2 or the fifth ordered pair natin na positive 2 and 3. So, what are we going to do is to connect it so that we can identify that this is a parabola, which is it opens upward. So, from here to the vertex, ayan. So, if we can see that the parabola opens upward and the vertex is the intersection, so this is the vertex, intersection of our parabola or two lines, which is negative 0 and negative 1, which is ito yung ating vertex, correct? Yung graph natin upward, correct? And the number of solution is also correct dahil ito yung nag-intersect siya or nag-cross siya sa x-axis natin. So, this is the first solution. And then, this is the second solution. So, we have proved that we have the upward, the vertex of 0 and negative 1, and the number of solution, 2 real solution. So, this is how are we going to solve to get the ordered pair or complete the table and to graph the quadratic function.